the way, my name is Eugene Elias Osho. I am third year student taking up Bachelor of Science in Office Administration. So we're working on this project that involves learning about different offices in their operations. So thank you, by the way, for giving us the opportunity to interview your law office. So my first question, or I would like to ask, could you share the history of your law office and the values that underpin your work?
It's actually very recent, no? I passed the bar. I took the bar in November 22 and we passed April 14. And then we had to take care of our off-taking afterwards. And we decided to start the office around probably 6 months after. So we just started, I think, last January. But my previous work was also, because I was a working student during my time in law school, was also with a law firm, which is where I got the values of efficiency and customers, customer satisfaction, and then problem solving. And I guess the whole point really is to help people. And because there were so many people asking if we would start an office, because it was really a hassle to find lawyers. I think the other lawyer in town is just really Jumo. And sometimes we would want another option, or sometimes she's not available, so they would ask if I was already practicing. So that was also a factor in why we started this.
Answer, sir. So by the way, I have a follow-up question, sir. We're interested in understanding what sets your law office apart.
Right now, it's mostly, to be honest, what sets it apart is that we're not so busy at the moment because we're just starting out. We don't have that many clients that we can be able to deal with each of them more efficiently. Still not backlogged with the number of clients, but I think that's one advantage, I would call it that we have. But yeah, in my experience, to be honest, most law firms offer more or less the same services.
How long has this law office been in operation?
I think it's only a month or two. We started officially in January or start of February, and it's March. But before that, I did accept consultations, advice, making paperwork before that. So probably it will be a year now since I started practicing law this April.
And next, what areas of law do you specialize in?
Okay. Right now, we don't currently specialize in anything. We don't have a focus. We accept any and every case. Oh no, we don't accept any and every case, but we don't have any specialization at the moment because, to be honest, it's a small town, and it's not feasible to have a specialization so early on in a small town. But most of our business and services are focused on the notarization of documents. And then we also do consultations, mostly land questions, or occasionally there will be criminal law questions. I think we had one corporate law client, but it was not very detailed. It was just a consultation and some notarization. The thing is, I asked my other friends who work in bigger law firms than this. It's more feasible to have a specialization if you're working in a bigger law firm, because bigger law firms have the resources to focus on which area of law you want to practice. So they can assign this department, okay, you focus on corporate, you focus on bankruptcy, you focus on criminal law, stuff like that. But when you're in a small town such as this, and when you're starting out, you cannot really specialize so early on. Eventually, of course, there are also offices that do specialize, but they need to be more established. And most of my friends who also started practices in small towns they also don't have specializations. It's more of a general thing, to be honest.
Thank you, sir. So, here's my question. How do you communicate with clients?
Okay. So, most of the time, there are two ways that we communicate with them. The first is they are walk-in clients. So they come here, they tell us what they need, or they ask something, and then we try to serve them as much as possible. The second, and it's more informal, it's actually through chat or through text. And actually, I haven't put my number there because I don't like people texting my personal number, but they have my personal Facebook account, and then I would sometimes get chats about informal questions. The policy, really, even with other lawyers that I know, is that we don't give too much detail when it's just through messenger. We really prefer to see them in person, but we do give them, a general advice on what to do and stuff like that. But 90% of the time, most of the consultations that we prefer to do is in person, or at least through a phone call. And I think that's how other lawyers do it. It's very rare to have a consultation through chat or messenger because of the possibility of misunderstanding. It's very great. But since you are your office is so much to when I worked for a US based law firm in the US, their firms were actually more modern. You can conduct phone interviews, you can conduct chat interviews, you can interview them through email, and sometimes you can hold an entire client's case, handle an entire client's case without even meeting them in person. So I don't think that's arrived in the Philippines yet because internet pandana to local. And I know some friends who conduct their interviews through Zoom and Google Meet, because sometimes the other lawyers is Manila. But in here we just do personal consultations or through chat or text. But for references, other firms have it different as well.
What were some of the initial challenges faced when starting the office and how were they overcome?
Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question. Thank you. Okay. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I would start an office here because some of my friends would prefer working office jobs, because the primary concern when starting an office is that you will not have a steady source of income right off. You will not have clients automatically, so you really have to think it out. How will I survive the following weeks when I start out? Because the moment you open the doors, the clients will not come immediately. So you have to wait for them to learn that an office. That's another thing. Number two, we also had to gauge the level of interest, because people do not come to lawyers unless it's absolutely necessary. It's not like, a sari-sari store where you will just, check it out, or you will just stop by. People do not come to lawyers unless it's absolutely necessary, so we have to do some research first. If, people would find it necessary to come to an office, if they think that another office in town would be feasible. I talked with other people and stuff like that. And then the third would be the upfront costs, because we needed an office space, we needed furniture, we needed air conditioning and stuff like that. And lastly, it was actually just letting people know that we were open, because sometimes people would ask, is this a milk tea shop? But because at first they didn't know. So the fourth part really was, and actually the most part that I struggled with was letting people know that we actually started an office. So perhaps, if you're working in office administration, perhaps you have better ideas for that. But I actually, when I started it, that was the least of my consideration, and I realized that was actually very important later on. And I think, this is just an aside, the organization of the day-to-day workings we had to figure that out from day one because what would be an efficient way to do this, what would be an efficient way to do that, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been challenging and so far it's fun, so it's fine.
What sets your law office apart from other in the industry?
I think in here, number one is that there's not many law offices, it's just two of us. So people really have very little choice when it comes to who they will go to. Yeah, that's one advantage of practicing in a small town, I suppose, because there are not so many lawyers. If you go to Cebu, almost every corner will have a lawyer. And I've heard of people going to City Hall and then walking. But that's an advantage here because there are only two of us, and then so it was easy to relatively establish our presence. Number two is we don't have that many clients. We can still accommodate walk-ins because some law office, they are really good at what they do, and so that can be a client. And sometimes you can be waiting a long time, stuff like that. But we're just starting out. We don't have many clients, so that's an advantage, I suppose, that we can still entertain them and easy.
How has the office mission and vision shaped its growth and direction?
So I think our mission and vision really was just to provide a service to the people, and we really wanted to be helpful to people as well. Because we did realize that sometimes it would be a hassle for people to look for lawyers. So that's primarily been our mission and vision, to help people. So we entertain them sometimes over the weekend, we entertain them at beyond office hours. We provide services like photocopy, stuff like that. So anything else?
How do you identify and prioritize your firm's long-term goals?
I think for now we're just getting started. So we're trying to see, what would be viable for long term and what would not be viable for long term. So for now we're still prioritizing. We're still trying to see what's good out there and how we can make stuff efficient. I did hear from my former bosses in the law firm that eventually you will get it. You just have to wait and see. So I think the key is just to have patience because I've talked with my other friends who are also starting law firms, and we have the same sentiments. You just have to wait and see what is viable and what is not, because it really will depend on your location and your practice. I have friends who really specialize in cases for long term, and others like me, we start out with notaries and then we don't prioritize cases, or we don't have many cases at this moment. We're still waiting and see how it will become viable for the long term.
How do you ensure alignment between your firm's strategy and its daily operations?
Strategy and daily operations, is that correct? We make sure to take care of our filing purposes, and we make sure that we have a system in place how to treat clients and how to get their concerns quickly, because clients come here, sometimes they will not have the complete documents that we need or the complete identification cards. So we have put a system in place so that when they arrive, they will be immediately, the documents will be immediately examined, stuff like that, and they will be told if it's complete or not. And then afterwards, we also prioritize and make sure that our files are correct, and then if there's anything else, we also offer our services to the clients that they can still contact us, and then we will be open to hearing them.
Can you share any interesting or unique experiences that have shaped the office identity?
This is more about my previous experience working, shaping our office, because I think it's really important when you're starting out to just take on, to don't overdo it yourself, because it can be tempting to do everything at once. But in my experience working for other law firms, it can be very, very draining to do a lot of things when you're just starting out. So So that's one thing that we prioritize. We want to make sure that we only accept sufficient cases that we can accommodate. We don't overdo it. And then I think for us, based from my experience, I think the hardest lesson has been patience. Taking it slow and then seeing what's happening, taking it day by day and stuff like that, because you cannot really expect a roaring success right off the bat.
What were some of the initial challenges faced when starting the office and how were they overcome?
The first is identifying which area we will stay in, because there's a really limited space where you can rent in the town, and you cannot have, you cannot find them easily. So the first was identifying where would we rent the space, and then the second was, making sure that the space was renovated enough in order to pleasing to the client, because you cannot have an office that is not pleasing to the client, no one will come in. And you will also have the initial expense, which is really something that you really have to save up for. And then next was just getting our permits in line. Yeah, because there is really a lot of permits that you have to figure out when it comes to starting your office. You only realize it when you're starting the office. When you're just thinking about it, you don't really take it that much into consideration. But when you're starting, you have to take care that you're registered with the BIR, and then you have your necessary permits with the CTI, and then you also have our additional permits with the court, additional trial court, because we need additional permits if you're going to start notarizing documents. So, it was really a lot of paperwork right from the beginning. It can be overwhelming, but that's a lawyer's job anyway, to deal with paperwork. And lastly, as mentioned before, people didn't really know that we had an office. At least they would ask have you started an office? Isina na, kaya na, and I would have to give the same answer over and over and over again. Until eventually some of them just found their way. At the start, it was really a struggle to let people know that we were here. Yeah. And we're not really allowed to make ethically. Lawyers are not allowed to print a lot of advertisements. So our advertisements have to be in line with the code of ethics. So we just did what we could. We put on signage and stuff like that. And then I think some of my friends, they actually posted on social media, which I think allowable, announcing that their office had started. I think you're also allowed to post in the newspaper, but we didn't do that because it wasn't a priority at the time. Yeah, so I think those venue, the area, renovation, expenses to pay forward, and then once it's all set, that's when you start to realize, you started an office, but we're not sure how people are gonna find it.
So this is my question. What are the future goals of your law office, and how do you plan to stay ahead in an evolving legal landscape?
So I think our first goal would be just to last. Because there are offices which don't last, and I think that's really our first goal, to establish a presence and to be long lasting. And number two, ideally we would want to gain more experience, and we would want to gain more clients, and hopefully it will be fun along the way. Staying ahead, I think it's a very interesting time for the Philippine legal system, because there are modern advances that are coming up. We can even take our MCLE required credits through Zoom now, and I think it would not be unheard of, for the judiciary and the legal system to introduce modern updates to the legal system. So I think there might be something to consider in, for example, as I mentioned, in the US, they would contact clients purely through the phone or through Zoom. So that would be something that we would look forward to, because it would be more convenient for the client don't have to come to the office. And I think hopefully we will have a system in place, for clients who just want an initial consultation but they cannot come in here, so they can text us, chat, or email us, and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, it should be interesting to see what modern developments will be introduced, and hopefully we can take advantage of those modern developments in improving the office. Because I think some workers don't even come to the office now. You can do your work from home. That could be interesting. You have a secretary who's not here. Because I don't know if you heard, in the US, some secretaries, receptionists, they will only have the screen in there and you will just face the screen. He's working from home. You just talk to the screen and there's a live video. So that could be, interesting. I'm not saying it's gonna happen immediately here, but that is something to consider for future moving forward.
Thank you for taking time to answer our questions, sir, and providing valuable insight about your law office. So we appreciate your willingness to participate in our project.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And by the way, we have given
That's fine, really. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you, kayo.
Some
Ipanumpa kong titikabihan ug pagahuktan ko ang tanan. Ipanumpa kong di gyud ko